One click and my job was posted to 200 plus job boards, all the top sites.
All of the candidates came to my dashboard, and it's easy to compare them. Thumbs up if I liked them, thumbs down if I didn't. No emails and attachments, printing up docs, phone calls, none of that.
And I couldn't believe the number of great applicants we got. I had the person we needed within 1 week. I don't know how we hired before ZipRecruiter.
Whether you're looking to fill one position or 20, find the best candidates with ZipRecruiter, where your job is just one click away from 200 plus job sites. ZipRecruiter, the fastest way to hire. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/ABC Radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/ABC Radio. ZipRecruiter.com/ABC Radio.
We're learning of the death of the Egyptian-born spiritual leader for Islamic militants who was convicted of plotting terror attacks in the U.S. back in the 1990s.
The Bureau of Prisons said Omar Rahman died of natural causes after a long battle with coronary artery disease and diabetes. He was 78 years old and had been serving a life sentence in Butner Correctional Facility in North Carolina. He was sentenced to life here in New York City on terrorism offenses. Known as the Blind Sheikh, Omar Rahman was the mastermind of the 1993 bombing at the World Trade Center.
ABC's Aaron Katursky. It was supposed to be a celebration at an historic launch pad, but the latest mission for SpaceX has come to a sudden halt.
Wind criteria is looking very good.
The Falcon rocket sat on the Apollo pad, famously used for NASA moon missions. It was a green light until...
Hold.
A call to abort just seconds before liftoff.
At T-minus 13 seconds.
It was 6 months ago that another Falcon rocket exploded on the launch pad. Founder Elon Musk wanted today to be the next step forward as SpaceX delivers more payloads for NASA. Now he'll have to wait at least one more day. Brad Milkey, ABC News.
The NBA is calling a foul on Texas. The league says Texas could be overlooked for future events because of a proposed bathroom bill that targets transgender people, similar to one in North Carolina that cost the state this weekend's NBA All-Star festivities. This is ABC News.
If there's one thing the pros at Advance Auto know, it's parts.
Advance Auto Parts, this is Holly.
Hi, Holly. My car is due for an oil change. Do you guys have any deals right now?
In the Valvoline, we've got full synthetic.
And that'll protect my engine?
That way you don't have to worry about deposits building up.
You really know your stuff. My daughter needs help with her homework. How are you with state capitals?
Awful.
Advance Auto Parts. We know everything about auto parts. Get 5 quarts of Valvoline synthetic motor oil for just $27.99 and get a free pair of mechanics wear gloves by mail. While supplies last, see store for details. Also at participating CarQuest stores.
Daria Albinger, ABC News.
From the KMAT Weather Center, there's a flash flood watch in effect across the region through 4 o'clock this afternoon. More Beaumont in the pass area. We'll have showers, possibly a thunderstorm this afternoon. It'll be cloudy with a high 52. There's a 5 in 10 chance of rain tonight. It'll mostly cloudy, a low 45 with winds to 20 miles an hour. Fort Redlands will have showers today. We could have a thunderstorm. It'll be cloudy with a high 56. For the desert cities, we'll have showers. We could have a thunderstorm. It'll be mostly cloudy with a high 63. I'm Rod Tanner for Smart Talk 1490 KMET.
Hi, this is Ed Hoffman, host of The Main Event, president of Wholesale Capital, and the founder of WCC Charities. I'd like to invite you to the first WCC Charities Gala and Auction this February 25th at the beautiful Victoria Club in Riverside, where we'll be raising money for wounded veterans causes that so many of us are passionate about. It's going to be a magical night out for a great cause. This is a red tie event because red stands for Remembering Everyone Deployed. Visit the events page at wcccharities.org for more information or call my assistant Shelly at 855-640-2020 to order tickets. That's 855-640-2020. Hope to see you there.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
Welcome. It is time, 18th of February, 2017, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, well, 1:06 to be exact. This is Constitution Radio with Douglas V. Gibbs, right here on KMET 1490 AM. For those of you who like to watch on the video at KMET1490am.com, you notice my background's a little different. We're in the office today. In between inclement weather and inclement attacks on Doug's health, we decided to just Skype in from the office. So we have Dennis and Alex on the phone with us. It does leave one line remaining, just in case you want to call in, 951-922-3532. 951-922-3532. Gentlemen, let's start with Alex. How you doing today, sir?
Well, I'm just ducky.
You're just ducky.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty ducky too. I mean, there's some good stuff going on.
With all this water, I might as well be ducky.
Yeah, they're talking. This is probably the biggest storm we've had in like 6 years, and yet it still won't make a dent in the drought. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And the other person we have on the air with us, Dennis Jackson. Dennis, welcome to the program. Thanks for calling in.
Well, my pleasure, Doug. Good to talk with you again.
All right. Someone asked me this morning, as a matter of fact, if I support Donald J. Trump as President of the United States. This is one of the many conservative or libertarian never-Trumpers. Not our good friend Jasmine. This is somebody else. And I replied, yes, but I am determined to keep a close eye on him. And the person responds, but he knows nothing about the U.S. Constitution. Well, and my response was, well, he knows little about politics. But isn't that the reason people like him? He's not a part of the system. As for knowing the Constitution, if we were to withdraw our support from any president who knew nothing about the Constitution, then since the year 1900, we would have supported only 2 presidents. Here's what you do. You hold their feet to the fire. You try to teach them. And you do your work to keep the republic, because keeping the republic is a team sport. It's something that we all have to work at together. Now, he responded, well, actually, since 1860, he was not very convinced that the progressive era presidents in the late 1800s understood the Constitution, neither. And in fact, if you look back in history, they were really intent on circumventing it as much as possible. I think the last of the constitutional presidents, that's hard to say, but early 1800s, mid 1800s. So,
well, tell me, Doug.
Now, yeah, go ahead.
You're saying that the presidents don't understand it. Of course, if they're trying to circumvent it, they have to know what they're getting around. So, do you think it's as much as they do understand it, but they just don't want to go along with it because they think it's holding them back from what they think is their righteous pursuit, or is it just pure ignorance, or is it actually they're trying to work against the system? Which ones do you think they are?
You might have a point there, and I've thought about this before, that since Ronald Reagan, the president to understand the Constitution the most is probably Barack Obama. And he disliked it, and he was doing everything he could to circumvent it, or he didn't care. But I think in most cases, these guys believe the myths that the court is the final say on what's constitutional. I think they speak a different language. They understand what was originally intended, but they don't think that's the Constitution. And then even when it comes to understanding what was originally intended, that sometimes they don't even grasp that very well. Usually they'll give us a strange caricature of what that is. In fact, there was a liberal not too long ago, and the link is a little bit down on the list. If you go to politicalpistachio.com, folks, you can find the links of what we're talking about. And there's one of them in the big stories of the week, liberal Democrat understanding of the Constitution, as a matter of fact. And Sally Cohn, who is one of the voices out there, leftist voices out there, it tweeted Wednesday morning suggesting that the impeachment of President Trump and Vice President Mike Pence is inevitable, and that it would lead directly to Hillary Clinton becoming president. She said that there's 5 steps. 1, impeach Trump and Pence. 2, we have a constitution crisis. 3, you call a special election. 4, it's between Ryan and Clinton. And 5, Clinton would beat Ryan. I mean, this is now I know it's way off. It's totally wrong. But see, the left, sometimes they think they understand the original intent or think they understand what's constitutional, and they're not even in the ballpark. I mean, of course, if Trump and Pence were to be impeached in the Constitution, then there's a line of succession that's been created, which was authorized to Congress to create, and they created it, and there's a line of succession. Speaker of the House is next, Senate Pro Tem is next, and then it starts going down the list of department heads, with the most recent created department being at the bottom of the list, and the longest existing department being next. And but I put that on there because I wanted to show an example of leftist thinking. They have no clue. They think they have a clue. But, and so when it comes to Obama, I think he had a clue on some of it. Did he understand it as well as Ronald Reagan or Calvin Coolidge or you and I? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, when they say he was a constitutional professor or constitutional lecturer, what Barack Obama did is he lectured at the University of Chicago on how to use the 14th Amendment to create racial division. That's his constitutional prowess. So, so we have to understand that, when we talk about the U.S. Constitution, they're speaking a whole different language.
Well, you touched on several of the points I was hoping you would hit. So I agree that there's a lot of misinformation. I just find it interesting that the things that they did so well, the Democrats, or they didn't do so well, but they happily did, right. Under Obama, that all of a sudden now they've got, quote, religion, and they're trying to quote the Constitution to stop the Republicans from doing what they want to implement. All of a sudden they want to quote the document, whereas before they really don't want to get near it.
Well, deportations are actually so far per day less under Trump than they were under Obama or Bush. When it came to an immigration executive order, did not Obama ignore the courts on that one about the Dreamers and all that? He ignored the courts. And so now, of course, ignoring the courts. Now, here's the thing. Had the court said Trump's executive order was completely constitutional, then what would have happened? Well, then the left would have, figured out another way to attack. Of course, they made sure that wasn't going to be the case. That's why they used the Ninth Circuit. They knew what they wanted to be said, and they had Seattle be where it started because they knew that would lead to the Ninth Circuit.
Part of the problem here is
go ahead, Alex.
The left is living in a fantasy world, a parallel universe.
Right.
We've got no less than the New Republic claiming that Trump has syphilis and that this is disordering his mind. Their only problem is they don't have any evidence of that.
Well, they don't have evidence of anything.
But they've decided it's so. You got Al Franken saying that he's mentally ill. They just make up reality as they go along.
Well, I mean, you want to get interesting on that. Go on down to where it says leftist racists, and in Toronto, Black Lives Matter co-founder said that white people are a genetic defect.
Well, that's standard black Muslim philosophy.
Right. Okay. Well, then you got a white candidate for the Democratic National Committee chair saying that her job was to shut down other white people. Even the white Democrats think white people are a problem, and they hate their skin. They want to peel it off.
Yeah. These people are when you talk about mental illness, you got three fingers pointing back.
Well, they've been convinced of an age-old lie, a Marxist lie, a communist lie, and it's seeped into their system of thinking, and they've been convinced of it. And the thing is, the reason why it's so difficult to get them to understand otherwise is because this belief system has become religious to them. The leftist narrative is a religious thing. It is something they believe, they have faith in, and they're willing to die for.
Well, I find this to be true among my Jewish friends from high school. When I contact them now, I try to explain that the left is working to destroy Israel, and they're more concerned with their leftist philosophy than they are with the state of Israel. They're more loyal to Marxism than they are to Israel, and it's tragic.
Well, it's funny because Jesse Lee Peterson, who is out there in the South Central Los Angeles Tea Party, and he wrote an article that says that that leftism is all about destruction. All they know how to do is destroy. They don't even realize that's what they're doing. But all they know how to do is destroy. Now understand, this is a black conservative who grew up in the South in very difficult conditions, worked his way out of it, became self-reliant, personally responsible, and released himself from the shackles of leftism and the left's control over his culture. And then he comes back and he says, hey, all they know how to do is destroy. That's all they do.
Well, that's why Saul Alinsky never, he advised his followers to never define their goal.
Right.
Because their goal is Marxism, and Marxism doesn't work, and it ends up in the murder of over 100 million people. You can't talk about that. You got to talk about means only.
Well, the John Birch Society, in a video they call Overview of America, has a section in it where they talk about the difference between the different political ideologies, democracy, republic, monarchy, oligarchy, democracy, anarchy. And when they talk about anarchy, it's really right along the lines of what we're seeing. When they explain it, they say, well, the anarchists really don't want anarchy. They want to destroy what exists. Then, after they destroy what exists, and there's no government, the people start crying out for order because everything is such chaos. And then the very people that created the chaos then come in to restore order. That is the goal. So, irregardless of what they say, the goal is destroy what exists and destroy it so completely that the people cry out for some kind of order and then step in to create that order and a whole new system.
Which will be
and hope that they turn into being the top dogs.
Right. Well, that's the point. It's like Jasmus used to say on this program. He said, well, President of the United States, in Obama's mind, is beneath him. He wants to be emperor. He wants to be, the ultimate controller. They're not in this for the money. They're in this for the power. Power is much more valuable than any kind of money. They've already got money, and they're getting money in the process. They want the power because they believe there's a new world rising. There's a new world on the horizon, and either you're going to be a peasant / serf, a slave, or you're going to be one of the controllers, and they want to be one of the controllers. When we return, we're going to talk a little bit more about that and Islam as well, because Islam also requires eternal vigilance. While we work to destroy ISIS, the reality is if we get rid of ISIS, another terrorist organization will step into the void. This is a need for eternal vigilance after the break.
You got a dent in your door, a scratch in your fender, or a scratch in your door and a dent in your fender. If you need auto detailing, if you need fire shooting decals on the side of your car, if you need a rally stripe right down the middle of your hardtop, I don't care what it is. The Patriots at All-Star Collision are the place you want to go. They're the only place to go. 522 Railroad Street in Corona. Web address allstarci.com to see all that they do and what they're all about. Phone number 951-279-9161. All-Star Collision, the kings of rock and roll.
The spirit of Paul Revere is alive and well and broadcasting on KMET AM 1490. Constitutionalist Douglas V. Gibbs hosts a roundtable of local citizens through local, state, and national issues every Saturday at 8 a.m. Thomas Jefferson said, "We in America do not have government by the majority. We have government by the majority who participate." So, participate. Listen to Conservative Voice Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. and join Paul Revere's modern ride for liberty.
Hi, this is Ed Hoffman, President Wholesale Capital Corporation, your direct mortgage lender. Real estate prices are still low, which means now's the time to buy your next home before they go up. Whether it's a home to live in, a vacation house, or an investment property, we can meet your mortgage financing needs to help you realize the next phase of your American dream. At Wholesale Capital Corporation, we make sure you get a loan that you can afford with terms that work for you. Wholesale Capital welcomes FHA buyers, conventional buyers, jumbo loan buyers, and we proudly help the U.S. military veterans take advantage of the zero down payment VA loan program. Nobody treats veterans better than Wholesale Capital Corporation. Seniors, if you're interested in creating an additional stream of income or just making your mortgage payment go away with a reverse mortgage, Wholesale Capital would love to help you. To speak with a loan officer who has your best interests in mind, call Wholesale Capital at 855-640-2020. That's area code 855-640-2020. Wholesale Capital Corporation, where we can close.
What's your constitutional IQ? Your quest to learn the Constitution can be fun for the whole family. Learn about the Constitution as you play the Constitution Quest board game. Learn more at constitutionquest.com.
And welcome back. Constitution Radio, Douglas v. Gibbs, right here on KMET 1490 AM. And we are just right smack in the middle, or maybe finishing up with a pretty good storm here in Southern California. Alex, are they counting the animals 2x2 yet in Whittier?
Well, we've got other problems besides that. We're worried about mudslides right now.
Well, because we had the fire season and all the hillsides have no vegetation on them. I know a lot of those communities along the foothills are nervous about that. Now, out here in the Temecula-Murrieta area where I live, we dealt with so much flooding when this was a new area. They've gotten really good at the drainage system and how everything is. So it's really not a concern out here. That said, you get outside the city, you get into some of these rural areas, the mud areas, dirt roads, all that, it becomes a real mess. And then Dennis, I'm sure, has his raft ready to go out there in the western Riverside County.
We got a
it's
problem
pretty
with
dry
this
here right
parallel
now, so we're
universe
doing okay.
situation. You got Brown as governor. He wants to be Engineer Bill. So he's dedicating billions of dollars to a train going north and south that nobody wants to ride on. And he's got these huge water problems. He should have been spending all that money.
There's no money to fix the Oroville Dam because it's all gone into the train. And to help prepare for the loss of funding because of the sanctuary state thing, they're calling for a 47% raise in fuel taxes.
They're insane.
But that's only because they're going to be losing money because of being a sanctuary state. Water? Well, who cares about any stinking water, right? Did you know that only 7% of the water, total rainfall, is consumed by humans? But they don't have any system really to catch much of it. They depend on the snowpack. So the snowpack, we're screwed. Well, what about catch basins? A majority of the rainwater goes through your storm drain and right into the ocean. And then what they do have up there, they have been catching, they've been putting in the ocean anyway to protect the delta smelt there in the Central Valley. A fish that, by the way, is not native to California.
Well, in a parallel universe,
so the insanity continues. Here's the question, though. Will this Oroville Dam situation be enough to even get some of your Democrat voters to go, because there's a lot of criticism going out there. Are the Democrat voters going to say, wait a second, Democrat leadership is not doing what they should be doing? Do you think this will draw attention to it? Go ahead, Dennis, first.
Well, the calamity of the California water system has been going on for decades. I've often wondered why they don't spend some money to either build some other reservoirs, catch basins, and just not have all the water go out to the Pacific Ocean while we have, all the farmland up there in the valleys, parched and shutting down, and immigrant labor not even having a place to work. But truly, they have not had a priority on that, and this rain is a great opportunity to try to get us out of the drought. But again, the vast majority, as you said, Doug, of that water, that if we were able to catch more of it, we could greatly improve the quality of life here in the state. But that just does not seem to be a priority at all. Hopefully, Californians will wake up a little bit more. The country woke up last year. Hopefully, California can wake up between now and 2018 and get some of these guys out of office.
Well, a large part of this, though, is the North versus South thing. The Northern California says, hey, we don't want you taking our water, Southern California. And what's interesting is this Oroville Dam and Feather River, that's one of the points in which we get our water. If it goes down, our Northern California water flow stops. Now, we don't get it all from that location. We get some of it from the Colorado River, and there's local sources, but that's one of our primary sources of water. And like I said, it's become this Northern California versus Southern California thing. Interesting enough, in that, Alex, the North versus South.
Oh, absolutely. I've been speculating whether it might just be a good idea to split the state right in half so we can deal with the problems that appertain to our own area.
I remember back during the 70s that was a conversation, Northern California versus Southern California, and it was over water. Now, we've got a local government, though, that, like I said, and it's catching a lot of attention because of what's been going on with this. So wait a second. You want to train, but yet you can't fix a dam? Something's necessary? You want to raise taxes because you want to become a sanctuary state, but you didn't set aside enough money for water? What's going on here? I mean, that's pretty much what's going on in the media right now. And surprise, surprise, it is the media that's drawing attention to this.
Well, not only have they not built reservoirs, I remember reading a long time ago about discussions of actually removing some of them because of the damage it was to the ecosystem. So if anything, they would like to have less capability of storing water and having it available, to be managed. One of the ironies I always kind of laugh a little at is back when Villaraigosa was mayor of L.A., and he was really trying to get everybody to, not water their lawns and not wash their cars because of the drought and the water conservation. And L.A. did such a great job that there wasn't any revenue, and then they had to raise the rates on all the water to make up for the money because nobody was using the water. So it's like, okay, well, use less water, then they're going to charge you the same amount of money. It was just, we're going to get money out of you either way, regardless of how much water you use or don't use. So I don't know if it was more an economic ploy or if it was a reality ploy, but they sure as heck didn't want to put any thought into eliminating the problem.
Well, here's something that's even more interesting. In July of 2015, Governor Brown signed a state law disallowing cities from fining people for dead lawns or brown lawns.
Oh,
because they're not watering their lawn, so they have a dead lawn or no lawn, and so and cities were ticketing residents for that, and so state law that while we're in a drought emergency, cities are not allowed to ticket these people for this. Now, right here in Marietta, I've been ticketed for exactly that. I quit watering my lawn, doing my part, killed it. When the weeds come in, we just bring them up. It's just dirt. And we've been getting ticketed for it. And for 2 years, I've been fighting it and talking to the state and lawyers and the whole bit. And here's the answer I got from the state. Yes, the city of Marietta is breaking the law. However, they have brought their overall water usage down, so we will not go after them for the fines. Now think about this. They're breaking the law, but we won't go after them because they have reduced their water usage still. If you want to have any satisfaction, you need to sue the city. That's what I was told.
These environmentalists remind me of a Christian Scientist with appendicitis. They've got their hatred of dams. They want to take down They wanted to take down the Hetch Ketchy Dam as an example. That was a big cause célèbre, and yet dams, the hydroelectric power, is the one source of power that exists that creates no pollution. There is no hydrocarbon involvement. There is no turbine, in that kind of combustion turbine. The turbines are clean water.
And if you want to build a new dam first of all, the regulations are so high and the costs and the fees and everything that it's almost impossible to build it. But if you are able to get through all of that, then the environmental groups will sue you for trying to build it. But yet, as you said, it's actually in the long run better for the environment because of no pollution created when it comes to the electricity. And number two, it helps with the water problem. Same thing with the desalination. They've been talking about desalination for years. We have the technology. I mean, hell, Israel has desalination plants, and they've turned the desert green with desalination plants. But you couldn't get one built here in California because the environmentalists will stop it. Why? Well, because it uses electricity, and electricity is created by fossil fuels. Well, how do they think they get the electricity for the electric cars? How are they getting the electricity when they don't allow a dam where, as you were saying, you can use that water flow to create electricity? So yeah, it's because once again, it's a religion. So they get so stuck on one little thing that anything that makes sense doesn't matter. You could come across, some of these cults and you could lay it down, here's the error in what you believe, but they believe it. It's their religion. You go, Islam, you could have all of the facts laid out and show how, disgusting and violent what they believe is, but that's what they know. That's their religion. And that gets back to the left. It's their religion. That's what they know. That's all they know, and that's what they're going to defend until their dying days.
There's the difference between the pragmatist and the ideologue again.
Right.
The pragmatist looks to see what the results are. The ideologue doesn't care about results. He only cares about the purity of your motives.
Well, and that's why here in the United States, they've actually launched an assault on homeschooling and parents. In California, Dr. Pan passed the Rights of the Child Bill, which basically is a Bill of Rights for the children of this state. But see, that Bill of Rights means that the state is defining what their rights are. So as a parent, if you are not complying with the rights of that child, they can send in social workers to force you to make sure you are complying. You are in compliance. Otherwise, they'll take your kids. In other words, they're outlawing parenthood. And then in Buffalo, New York, there's a woman in jail right now because of a homeschooling related matter. She did everything right. She told the school district she was going to be homeschooling, followed all the protocol that's in place. And then when they took her children, they said, well, you didn't. She says, yeah, I got proof of it right now. Well, our records say you didn't. They threw her in jail. She's been without her kids now she's in jail, and her kids have been in custody of the state now for like 4 weeks. Now, why is this such a big deal with the left? It's because they want to get to your kids. They don't want you to get to your kids because you might teach them something about individuality or self-reliance or personal responsibility, and they just can't have that.
Well, Doug, even beyond that,
in jail? What was her offense?
Hang on, one at a time. Dennis first.
Well, I homeschooled my kids. All right, and we had 5 of them at one time, and I went down to the Fontana Unified School District, and we presented the curriculum. We talked to the vice principal there, who I happen to know, and he approved it. Every year we got a letter, an application from the Department of Education from California for nominees for Teacher of the Year. It came to the Jackson Homeschool, which of course we laughed because I'd nominate my wife and that'd be it. But
you're the teachers.
But I was not getting the blowback from politicians. But even very good friends of mine that politically, spiritually were very much in sync with me, and they understood me, and they understood the Constitution, and they were conservative guys. But 2 or 3 of them were principals. They were high school teachers. And probably for about 2 years, as I would talk to them, they'd always bring up, are you still homeschooling? Like, it was a bad thing. And they were worried about the socialization of my kids. My kids, they had the neighborhood, they had Little League, they had scouts, they had all kinds of stuff, to interact with. And finally, after about 2 years, I said, you know what? I'm tired of talking about this. And they weren't trying to control my kids. They weren't trying to indoctrinate them contrary to my teaching, but they were caught up in the system, and they just genuinely believed that public education is the way to go, and they just couldn't fathom somebody like me being a maverick and my family stepping outside it. And
hang on, Alex. I'm going to get back to you, but I want to add something to that too, because the number one thing I hear about homeschooling is the social interaction with other children. How are they going to develop socially if they are unable to develop in an environment with other children? And my response is actually they will develop socially better because they're spending more time with adults and less time with children who are struggling with learning their social skills, just like your child is. When you play chess, if you want to become a better chess player, you play chess with someone who's better than you to become the better chess player, not with a bunch of people that play the game at the same skill level. So when you have a bunch of kids together in a social interactive environment, it's like a bunch of chess players that are at the same level of skill playing against each other. But homeschool kids, in my experience, and I've been around homeschooling a lot in my life. My brother was homeschooled, as a matter of fact. Is that homeschooled children actually have better social interaction skills because they were taught by people who are above them in that skill. And that skill set. So it's like playing the game of chess against someone who's better than you.
Years later, we moved into a different home.
Now, that doesn't mean you don't get any social interaction with children. There's still those opportunities. Like you said, Little League, Boy Scouts, whatever. Well, I don't know about Boy Scouts anymore, but they still get that interaction, but they get more with people who have more skill at social interaction. Go ahead, Dennis. Say what you were going to say, and then we'll get over to Alex.
I was going to say, years later, we moved into another city, and at that time, they were all a touch older, and we actually put them into public schools. My oldest boy was so far ahead that he just wound up going to Chaffee Junior College, starting when he was like 12 or 13. But my other kids went into their grades, first grade, third grade, fifth grade, and they were all fine. They weren't behind their comprehension, their reading, their math. So the homeschool experience did not slow them down. They reintegrated great. So they were learning fine. And ironically, of my 6 kids, I've only had 2 actually graduate from high school. The other 4 went to college early. They've all graduated from college, but they basically got their GED, equivalent, and they're doing fine. So,
and here's something that's fascinating about that. And I don't know about the last couple of years, but there was a period there of 16 years where the national spelling bee champions were homeschooled kids.
Yeah, that's right. Well, they could spend more time on it. They could pursue individual courses of study as well as all the general study.
Well, plus they're getting that one-on-one that they're not going to get, and it's a one-on-one with someone who loves them and who wants to teach them properly. And it's not just that, but it's also the curriculum. You see the same with private schools. My children were put into a private school for a few years because my wife taught at a Christian private school for a few years, and they actually were set back a grade when they went to the private school. They were behind everybody, with their public education. After being in that private school for 3 years, they went back to the public school, and they went back into went back ahead again to what grade they should have been in. And then they were so far ahead, the next 3 or 4 years was like refresher for them. It was easy.
And it comes out
home. Okay, Alex, I promised give Alex something to say on this before we go to break, and it's break time. So, Alex, real quick, what do you got?
I'm just wondering, that lady in New York that's in jail, what was her offense? What was the reason for locking her up?
I'm trying to remember. I think it was endangering the children by pulling them out of school without permission or something like that. Matter of fact, if you go to politicalpistachio.com and you go to go down the list, you'll find the one on education, eternal vigilance versus leftism. There's a Political Pistachio article titled Assault on Homeschooling and Parents. And I talk a little bit more about that in that article, and I link to it so you can actually go to the story and read about it more in depth. We need to go to break. When we come back, I still need to talk about Islam. I still have that on the docket. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the racism going on, which I mentioned earlier, but I want to get a little bit more detail into it. A Black Lives Matter co-founder saying that white people are a genetic defect. Who's the racist here? When we return.
The true patriots of All-Star Collision have been proudly serving the Inland Empire for over 20 years. Built on honesty, integrity, quality, and old-fashioned customer service, we offer lifetime warranties for our work, and every vehicle serviced by All-Star Collision is washed, detailed, the headlights polished, fluids are checked and topped off, safety checked, and returned in showroom condition. We offer free estimates, are approved by major insurance companies, and accept all claims for all cars and trucks. We use computerized frame straightening to factory specifications, offer fiberglass body repair and paint, free local pickup and delivery, and after-hours towing. Mention this radio program at drop-off and receive $100 off or a free rental car for up to 5 days during your repair. Visit us at allstarci.com or at 522 Railroad Street in Corona. Call us at 951-279-9161. We are the kings of wreck and roll.
Help me fight the good fight. This radio program is funded by advertising dollars. So, if you are a business, add Constitution Radio with Douglas V. Gibbs to your business portfolio. If you are a listener, become a patron of the businesses advertising on this program. Without advertising, your weekend dose of truth ends. With more advertising, Constitution Radio with Douglas V. Gibbs grows, and we will be on the way to win the battle to restore the Republic. To learn more, email us at constitutionspeaker@yahoo.com or visit douglasvgibbs.com.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Our records indicate you've been lied to. Welcome to the truth. Douglas V. Gibbs.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Hi, this is Ed Hoffman, host of The Main Event, president of Wholesale Capital and the founder of WCC Charities. I'd like to invite you to the first WCC Charities Gala and Auction this February 25th at the beautiful Victoria Club in Riverside, where we'll be raising money for wounded veterans causes that so many of us are passionate about. It's going to be a magical night out for a great cause. This is a red tie event because red stands for Remembering Everyone Deployed. Visit the events page at wcccharities.org for more information or call my assistant Shelly at 855-640-2020 to order tickets. That's 855-640-2020. Hope to see you there.
And now, back to our program.
Welcome back, Constitution Radio with Douglas V. Gibbs right here on KMET 1490 AM. You can listen online at KMET1490am.com. Listen on your smartphone. Get the KMET 1490 AM app. And yes, you can even catch the archived podcast later. And these shows do wind up on my YouTube page, youtube.com/Douglas V. Gibbs. Islam is an enemy older than the existence of the United States. Islam attempted to take over Europe once before, but the Christian Crusaders stopped that invasion and turned back the barbaric raiders as they reached towards Vienna and up through Spain towards France. The United States fought Islam in the Barbary Wars under Thomas Jefferson and James Madison because Muslim pirates were seizing our vessels and forcing the United States to pay a tribute in order to navigate international waters that the Muslim Caliphate had claimed to be its own. Islam has slaughtered populations over and over in history. Armenia is a great example, early 1900s, serving as a glaring example of the Muslim Empire targeting and slaughtering an entire Christian population that it believed to be in its way to spreading into a larger Muslim empire. The Ottomans sided with Germany in World War I, and the Muslims sided with Hitler in World War II, and today Islam continues to thirst for global domination and sides with the worst characters globally. ISIS is only a symptom of the disease that is many centuries old, and we are told that the end of ISIS is near, but the end of ISIS will not spell the end of Islamic terrorism or the end of the war against a psychotic ideology that is much more fierce than the Nazis or the communists ever dreamed of being. Once ISIS is gone and Al Qaeda is finally erased, another super terror group will rise up because that is what Islam does. So, what do we do? How do we stop the advance of the Islamic terrorist jihad? Here in America, we've got a president who decided to write an executive order executing laws that are on the books to extremely vet those coming from 7 particular countries that harbor terrorists, fund terrorists, and promote terrorism. Yet our very own American left is not only going against the president's executive order, they're doing every tool they can to stop it. It's almost like they want to destroy America. It's like the old saying goes, if you had a bowl of M&Ms, and you knew that 3 of them in there were poison and would kill you, would you eat any? We, during World War II, prohibited the entry into the country folks from Germany, Italy, and Japan, not because we were racist or insensitive, but because we could tell the good from the bad. At what point does the liberal left realize the error of their ways, or are they accomplices? Are they also wanting the rise of a Muslim force to take down America? Thoughts? Let's go with you, Alex, first.
Well, we're in a situation that we've never been in before. Closest was World War II, where we have enemies coming at us from a variety of directions.
Mm-hmm.
We've got I wrote that essay, The Combine, trying to unpack this mess. You got your Islamic terrorists trying to kill us on one side. You got your Chinese threatening us, along with the Russians threatening us from their end. The number of enemies that we have that are actively trying to destroy us multiplies, while the Democrats seem to only recognize the Republicans as an enemy. They don't even recognize that we're under attack. Their policy on immigrants is a beautiful example of that.
Right.
Rather than trying to solve the problem of terrorists infiltrating the immigrant population, all they can do is use it for ammunition against the Republicans.
Borders are racist, they say. Borders are not the human thing to do. It's mean. It's dispirited. It's cruel. We should just be one big giant global, I guess, party on the daisies, where we're all, I guess, smoking and drinking and singing Kumbaya together. Because don't you know that's what the Muslims want, right? They just want peace, right? They just want to hang out with us. It's all a big misunderstanding. I mean, that's what I've been told.
Well,
Dennis, what do you think?
They bring these spokesmen on the air on the Fox network from the Islamic community. They had one on last night, a real weird-looking guy, kind of looked like Peter Lorre. And the interlocutor asked him. He says, you guys protest what the American government does, but you never protest against the terrorists. And this guy says, oh, we do all the time. Well, I have yet to see a demonstration by Muslims protesting the slaughter of any innocent human beings. Not one.
Well, all you got to do is ask any Muslim, should Israel exist? That's all you got to do. Should Israel exist?
I made a mistake the other day saying that 10% of the immigrant population in America has admitted that they favor terrorism. It turns out it's not 10% at all. It's 15%. And that's the ones that admit it.
Yeah, that's just the ones willing to admit it. Yeah. All right, Dennis, what's your thoughts about this, what I said and what Alex has said so far about the spread of Islam and their goals?
You know, I could probably go for the rest of the radio show on this, a shameless plug, but both the communists that Alex talked about, as well as the Islamic issues that you brought up. You know, I've spent a year and a half of my life working with Trevor Loudon and other people, you know, Frank Gaffney, Phil Haney, list goes on and on, Steve Coughlin, Mike Waller, that are all in the movie Enemies Within, where it chronicles going back decades to the Muslim Brotherhood, starting in the 1920s, and what's gone on in the country here. I am working right now with a group called Truth in Textbooks, where we're getting ready for the new books that are coming out May 1st for California, and 20 other states follow them. And the rewrite of history is incredible. When the English or the Spanish or whoever the European guys are went out and had their colonies, it was imperialism. But when the Muslims went into Spain and went into northern Africa and all the rest, it just talked about how they were enlarging, you know, their empire. I saw the interview that Alex was talking about last night on Fox, and the line that got me was when the imam was saying that, hey, you know, you ought to allow these people in. You know, that's what makes America great is, you know, free association and everything for everybody. Right. But, you know, I would just ask them the question, well, why is it that there's a caste system, you know, if everybody's equal, you know, in your religion? I mean, they have Muslims that are born into faith rank higher than Muslims that are converts, which both rank higher than non-believers who have to pay a tax to under Sharia law to survive. And then the lowest one is slaves, you know, and there are slaves in those countries. So I'd just like somebody to ask them, well, your system of government and your law, the way you treat women and genital mutilation and the problems over property rights, it's diametrically opposed to the Constitution. And we have many of the people in Congress, senators, people that ran for president, that are water carriers for both socialist and Islamic countries that are working against the interest of American liberties and Constitution. And American people just need to learn about it, which is why I spent 2 years of my life trying to help put together this movie just to explain the stuff that right now we're trying to talk about. And you can't do justice in a 5-minute soundbite.
Well, and now working with Trevor Loudon, too, and for those of you who don't know, he's executive producer of the film Enemies Within, enemieswithinmovie.com. But how a significant portion of the American government, a significant number of persons that are in the American government have ties to the Muslim Brotherhood. It's not just that they've infiltrated. They are tied to people in very critical positions in our government, in our FBI, in our CIA, in our Congress.
Well, and you have spillovers going into city and county. You have law enforcement officers, whether it be sheriffs of counties, the guys in charge of the LAPD, to where they will not really support the Constitution that they have sworn an oath to uphold in lieu of political correctness and just not being, honest and fair about really what's going on. You know, they're turning the blind eye to their own dishonor and to the loss of liberty for those of us that are living now and future generations. I mean, they're selling the country out. And when the American people really find out about it, I mean, when the sleeping giant wakes up and sees it for what it is, there will be hell to pay. But right now, the media is really not doing its job. I mean, it's documented, it's out there, it's available, but they just don't want to present it.
Matter of fact, Trevor Loudon used public sources to come up with all this information. Alex, you got about a minute for your final word on this.
My book review today is The Communist by Paul Kangor, and he deals with this media problem very succinctly and definitely. And that's what I'm going to be doing today, is talking about, primarily talking about how the media has covered up Obama's sins and the sins of the left generally, to the point where it's treason.
In fact, I plan to unleash you after the top of the hour break. Top of the hour break is coming up in about 30 seconds. So let me say this. As we progress through this radio program, for those of you who are longtime listeners, we have a second hour. And during the second hour, I'm not only going to unleash, and I mean unleash, Alex, to talk about what he needs to talk about, but also we're going to talk about that Black Lives Matter co-founder saying that white people are genetic defects. Leftist riots erupting in France. How Trump has embraced the coal industry. Was it a conspiracy to take out Michael Flynn? The battle over the extreme vetting executive order, which we've already talked about a little bit. The battle to try to stop Trump and the unconstitutional courts. All of that during the second hour when we return.